Hey guys, wow, did I ever get responses from you? I thought that you guys were all done with watching cooking videos because we can go outside, we can go to the garden, our state's opened up a lot so you can go to restaurants and stuff, you can do your grocery shopping, and I thought, oh, well, everybody's probably pretty much done with me. So, well, I put it out there because I was getting texts and messages from people saying, hey, where are you? Or, you know what, you brighten our day, or another one was like, I really like your recipes. You're a common sense cooking and baking person and no fancy kind of ingredients we wouldn't find, but everything we find around at home. So please keep going. And so I'm going to keep going then. And to do that, I thought I would do what my daycare's favorite thing was, and we bake this together all the time. So I could do this recipe with my eyes closed pretty much. And it is chocolate chip cookies. I've had this recipe for 40 some odd years. I've never veered from this at all. It's the same recipe, but as I'm looking at the bag here, I noticed that they still do have it on the back of the bag. Nestle's is where I got the recipe 40 some odd years ago off the back of the bag. I wrote it off. Right, there you go. And it's still on there. So if you buy Nestle's, you don't have to write this down. The recipe is on the back of the bag, but I will put the recipe anyways beside it. I thought, wow, what a great thing to do today. I'm sorry, there's no glamour about me today. I'm quite messy. I have been pulling weeds in the last flower garden I had to do. I have many flower gardens, and I finally finished the last one today. And then I had two smaller lawns to mow. So I'm like, oh, I waited for my face to not be so red so I didn't look distressing to you while I was baking here. Very excited. So the first thing we do is we get the dry ingredients set aside. In this bowl, I have 2 1/4 cup of flour, 1 teaspoon of baking soda, and 1 teaspoon of salt. Did I use the whole teaspoon of salt? No, you know me. I don't use the whole teaspoon of salt. I think in this one I use 3/4 of a teaspoon. But most people like to, baking is a science, and they need to know the exact amount that you're supposed to put it on it, and so it does say 1 teaspoon. After that, there is one, and I'm going to send you over to the bowl over here, hoping that you can see a little more. Move you over. Okay, here we go. I have it calls for 1 cup of either softened butter or shortening. All the years I've been doing this, every single year, I tried it with butter years ago, and they turned flat. I don't feel that the cookie rises up as much when you're using the butter. And if you like that butter flavor, though, and you don't mind them being flat, then go ahead with butter. I've never had luck with the butter, but the recipe says 1 cup of either softened butter or Crisco. Butter flavor Crisco is the second choice if you really want that butter flavor, but you want the Crisco consistency. Then that works out well too. I've used butter flavor Crisco, and it is better than using butter for me. Again, for you, you might like that flat cookie. I like mine to raise up a little bit and come down and still have some volume to it. So I always use regular Crisco. And that's after years of trying this and that. So just my opinion, but I did give you the choices that you could have. Okay, let me get you back here into the bowl. And so I did 1 cup of shortening in here. And as you can see, I'm using my KitchenAid today. So, yep, there you go, into the bowl. And the recipe is so quick and so easy. It's not even funny how quick it is. You put let's see if I can get close enough here. I'm hoping that you can see what I'm doing here in the bowl. And you can't yet, unfortunately. I need Tim to be taping this for me. Well, you know what? I'll talk you through this for a minute. You know what I'm putting and where I'm putting things. So I'm just going to put this back here, and I'm going to keep talking to you because I can't quite get it over there on the edge with the bowl. I'm going 3/4 of a cup of regular sugar. And so there's my 3/4 of a cup of regular sugar, regular white sugar. And again, 3/4 of a cup of brown sugar. Remember my little trick, because this brown sugar I have in here until a couple of minutes ago was super hard. It was in a brick. I'm still working from that same bag that was a brick when I opened it. It was a little distressing. And remember what my trick is, that you put it in a microwave safe bowl, and you put a wet towel, not just damp, but wet towel on it. I don't want it dripping in there. You take the excess water off, but a wet towel, and you put it over the top of the bowl, and you microwave it for 30 seconds. Again, if you have a huge amount, you can go another 30 seconds. I go with 30 seconds, and usually that's always good enough. So you're supposed to have 3/4 of a cup of packed brown sugar. And thanks to our fancy little trick, here's a packed brown sugar that started from, I will pull this out of here, started from a hard brick like this, that literally, as you can see. So all I did was put that in the bowl and put it on microwave for 30 seconds with that wet paper towel, and I'm telling you, it does wonders. Mary's always given us her tricks too. Everybody has their own tricks, but for me, because that bag itself was already, Mary's really good about, if you've got one that's soft already and you put it in a jar, you don't want it to get hard. She's got her tricks to keep it from getting hard that way. But I bought the bag and the bag went hard, which I can't even understand why. There was no hole in it. And so I'm not wasting it because obviously I can do my little trick. And the only other thing, I was just putting my top on here. And the only other thing I'm missing here, well, two things actually, is 1 teaspoon of vanilla. Oh, Tim's coming in. Maybe you can finish this because you can't see what I'm doing and I'm having such a hard time. 1 teaspoon of vanilla, and it says 1/2 teaspoon of water. I always just put a teaspoon in there. And there you go. There we are. So all we do now is just let that beat up first until it's creamy. So try to see if you can see what's going on here. There we go. Hi, hun.
Plant onions.
Gonna go plant the onions and the horseradish?
Yep.
You're gonna plant the horseradish too, or have you got something to put it in? I don't really want it in the ground. I'd like you to. Don't want.
Do it raised bed.
Right, in a raised bed. We've been gardening like crazy. We have gardens everywhere. Not only do I have my multitude, and boy, when I say multitude, that's not even a stretch of the imagination, of flower gardens, but we have quite the huge 40 by 46 vegetable garden. We're hoping to like feed the world practically. So this next thing I have here is really kind of cool. Next goes into eggs. And I just wanted to show you, we have these beautiful new neighbors at the end of our road. They're so cool. And she's been sharing rhubarb with me, and we've been sharing stuff back with her. We gave them a weed whacker or whatever, but it's fun because they're new to the neighborhood. They're young. Oh, they're so cute. And I'm going to ask them some good lessons on you know, throwing away your scraps and stuff, because it looks like he's got a really good composting idea going on there. So I'd like to go down and talk to him about composting one of these days. But the other day she gave me duck eggs. So today I'm going to use duck eggs in my recipe. So it takes 2 eggs, and I picked the 2 that are the size of regular normal chicken eggs. I've already washed them. They weren't washed in there. That she gave them to me unwashed because I did not know this, but if you don't wash your eggs that the ducks have, or even that the chickens give you, if you don't wash them right off, you can keep them on the counter for a lot longer by not washing them. And then you can wash them just before you use them, which I did today. So here we go. Here's our 2 eggs. I've never used a duck egg before, so I'm very excited. Ooh, that looks wonderful. One thing I've noticed, it's harder to crack it. I've never done anything with a duck egg before. It's a little harder to crack. I did notice that just now, but other than that, I don't see any difference. I'll show you the wonderful, beautiful color in it and everything. See? Whoops, can you see the color of the yolk? Anyways, yeah. So we're going to turn this back on, and this is how easy this recipe is, because after this gets combined, it's just basically putting your dry ingredients in. So I'll let her rip. While that's going, I'm going to scrape it for a second, and then I wanted to say thank you everybody for, number one, thank you for loving these videos, because to be honest with you, you know, it's been fun to help you, but it also, I'm not gonna lie, it helped me get through the pandemic. And I know we're not all the way out of it. I know there's still a pandemic, and I know, but you know, the cases are down, and we're being smart and reasonable, and my stress level's down because Sunny's home from New York now, and I got to spend the day with her yesterday. Oh my God, we had so much fun. We went shopping and had lunch, and my stress level's way down. But to be honest with you, if I didn't have this outlet where I felt like I could help, it might have been a different outcome for me during the pandemic. And I really appreciate you loving the videos and wanting to be with me in the kitchen each day, because it's been wonderful. Let me just get this back on here. Just another second here. There we go. We're all set on this. Okay. Whoops. There's a bunch of it stuck here on the blade that I didn't notice. It will need to be blended better. So I've gotten some great ideas from people. My daughter Danielle said, "Hey, pot pie, Mom." What a great idea that is. I will wait till I bake a chicken again, and I will make a pot pie. That would be fun. I've got some other ideas with the garden coming. I want to, so many ideas. I've got the best zucchini bread recipe in the whole world. Like Danielle, who's not a vegetable girl, my daughter Danielle, not a vegetable girl at all. She's really picky about what she eats. Can't get enough zucchini bread. And she just loves that recipe and asks me to make it regularly. I really want to make jams, I thought. So as soon as strawberry season comes in, I want to jam with you. I would like to make strawberry jam when strawberries are in, when raspberries are in at the end of July. I'd like to make raspberry jam with you. Definitely, I think Danielle gave me a recipe for strawberry rhubarb jam. Gonna say, never made it before, but I am super duper excited about trying that, because I really want to do all these recipes I can with rhubarb. And especially with the neighbors that have been sharing with me, this is very exciting for me. So, okay, so let's take this out of here and we'll move it over here where you can see what I'm doing. I can maybe move the camera down a little bit more now. There. Now, that is better. Now you can see what I'm doing. I can bring my bowl over to you a little bit better. There you are. There. Finally, you can see the bowl. It's so hard when I'm using the KitchenAid, unless Tim is the one that's doing the filming. It's very hard because I can't get close enough to the thing. So here's our dry ingredients that we put together. Our 2 1/4 cup flour, our 1 teaspoon of baking soda, not baking powder, and I didn't put the whole teaspoon of salt in, but that's what it calls for, as a teaspoon. And we're just going to put them in here. And this whole recipe takes like maybe 10 minutes to make. It's very quick. I mean, this is the kind of recipe, it has to be quick. I used to make this with my daycare all the time. And when you're working with little children, and I was baking with, 3, 4, and 5-year-olds. And I had a 2-year-old with me. Well, actually, to be honest with you, when I started, I had a 1, 2, 3, and 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, just like stairs. And so I usually waited till the 1-year-old was asleep, and then I did most of the baking. But as the 1-year-old was growing, I definitely had to involve that little boy as well. So we had to become smart on what they could do and be included, because you can't do with some and not the others. So I had always, when I was baking, had recipes that were pretty quick. Like they would always make the pancakes with me, and stuff that like this takes 10 minutes, because they would take turns adding the ingredients, and I do all the stirring and stuff like that. So that tells you how quick and super easy this recipe is. You will never buy cookie dough again once you've tasted your own homemade chocolate chip cookies. And here it is. It's dry like that. It's supposed to be dry. Just make sure you pick up all the flour off the bottom and incorporate it. This bowl is a little awkward sometimes to get stuff off the bottom of, because it has a little kind of nipple on the inside of it there, and it's not always easy. And then I just free pour. I literally just free pour till it looks like I've got enough. I believe it says like a cup. No, it says a 12-ounce package. Well, a cup is 8 ounces, so it's a cup and a half then. The 12-ounce package is the normal one that you buy in the store. I get bigger packages. Whenever I've got any friends that are going to Costco, I ask them for the really big bag. And whenever I get my hands on, the only ones in town I can get that are big are the ones at Walmart. They have some pretty good size bags here. This one is, this one's 2 pounds, 4 ounces. I believe that was one of my Costco bags that had Chelsea Belial pick up for me. Or no, was it Chelsea or Chassis? Chelsea may have done it. No, Chelsea got the bacon bits. Chelsea got the chocolate chips. We've got a couple of people with Costco cards. I don't have a Costco card, unfortunately. I used to when I was out and about all the time. But to be honest with you, when I started staying at home, it didn't make any sense because I do 95% of my shopping online to Walmart.com, and it doesn't do me any good to have a Costco card because I don't go anywhere. But my parents and stuff that would go out would definitely do it for me. Chelsea Bilal was the one that got most of my stuff, and I really always appreciated that. Okay, so there you go. I like it with a lot of chocolate chips in it, so you can see how we've got a good amount in here. So I'm going to take you right over to my pan. Here you go. My oven is already preheated on a 375. Thing you don't want to forget to do is Crisco your pan. This is where I still use Crisco. I don't use the spray because I don't want to take a chance of the cookies. I don't know. I'm just old-fashioned on this recipe. I've done it the same way for 40 years. So for some reason, I have not changed my way at all. I still use the Crisco on here. And I do it liberally. Of course, you only have to do it the first time. You don't do it in between every time you fill the pan. This pan is really cool. I got this pan from Stephanie Brannon. It was on the side of the road, and I knew it came from her house. And I usually passed everything that came from her house on to other people. But I fell in love with this pan because it's huge. Look how huge it is. It's like one that like a school or something would use. And then, of course, with the daycare kids, anytime I can double up what I can do in the amount of time, it's perfect. Because with lots of little kids, we don't always have the time to, like, this takes, I don't have to do so many batches with this big pan. So I've got this really cool thing. I invested in this a long time ago, this last year actually, this last spring. I've always wanted one. So here it is. This is my cookie dropper. And literally just going in here, dropping it by a cookie dropper. See, just going in here, grabbing one full, and dropping it by the cookie dropper. Now, that's all that's left. That's all that's left is to put them on the pan. 375, 10 to 12 minutes. Sometimes when the first batch or two goes in, because sometimes your oven, I mean, I've got it pre-warmed and everything, but you never know. So I keep an eye. The first time I may stick it in an extra minute or so because I like mine to be a light brown. And I don't like mine to be gooey inside, like half cooked. Some people like it half cooked, so they'll go the 10 minutes and not the 12. It's 375 for 10 to 12 minutes. But sometimes I add an extra minute or two because I like to have it a little hard. If you are a person who likes soft cookies and you don't like it to turn hard later on when they're being stored, in my cookie jar I put a piece of white bread. White bread keeps the cookies from going hard. You just leave the white bread on top of the cookies. You just go by it every time you just move it around every time you go get a cookie or two for the kids or something. But if you like your cookies to go hard, you don't want them to stay soft, don't put anything in your cookie jar with them. Just make sure you put your cookie jar cover on tight. I use, I'll show you what I use. I love this jar. I use this, where it actually has a screw top. So, yeah. So it's air sealed, definitely sealed. And that's where I put my cookies. So have fun with that. The things you can put in here, variables, you can add any kind of nuts. The recipe on the bag says walnuts. I never make my chocolate chip cookies with walnuts because the kids never cared for them. But you can put walnuts. You can put any nuts whatsoever, like the pecans I put in that chocolate chip pie one day. Oh, that was to die for. You can put raisins in here. If you don't want chocolate chips, you can make the batch and make it with raisins. I've also made chocolate chip cookies, and I want to say it was a 1/4 cup of cocoa, but I can look that up. They just added to the batter to make it chocolate chip, but usually I just make it straight chocolate chip. M&Ms, mini M&Ms, little tiny mini M&Ms. You can use regular M&Ms, which if I do the M&Ms, I only use half the chocolate chips because then all the candy and the sugar is like fighting for the same. Otherwise, you just get nothing but candy on a cookie. So I only use half the chocolate chips if I'm adding like M&Ms or something like that. You can do a peanut butter, a chocolate, like a Reese's peanut butter thing where you can do half chocolate chips and half Reese's chips. You can do mint chocolate chips with this recipe. Oh my God. It's endless. It's endless. Whatever chocolate chips they have, you could put it in this cookie batter because it's the standard chocolate chip cookie recipe. And all you have to do is be changing what you're putting in for your candy, or if you want some nuts in it or something like that. So have fun with it. When I put the recipe beside this, I'm going to put it just standard. But remember, you can add any kind of chocolate chips you want. You can add any kind of nuts you want. You can add raisins. But if you're going to add something, well, it says on the recipe though, if you're going to add nuts, that to add, I want to say a half cup. No, it says 1 whole cup of chopped nuts. But then it's 2 cups of Toll House. So they're doing it as a 2-to-1. So you can take it as you want. I mean, I love lots of chocolate chips in my cookie. I don't like it to be sparse, so I just do it to what it looks like. I never measure the chocolate chips. Have fun with this recipe. I haven't quite figured out what I'm going to do tomorrow yet or not, but we've got a lot of fun coming for the future. Yeah, we're going to keep going because you guys said that's what you wanted. So thank you very much for saying so, and hopefully Tim will be able to start videoing with me again. Lot to do inside, lots to do outside, so I'm stuck alone a lot lately videoing, but we'll get through this. Bye!